Does it sound crisp?
Yeah, you sound good. Yeah.
Okay.
And we connected now. See, TradingView changed the way they show you that you're connected. So that's really good. So now we just got to make sure that it's connected on TradingView. And it is. And so now we are live. So, hey, everybody. I pray that you all are doing well. So today we're just going to hop right into it because we have less than an hour to speak to everybody. So as you guys know, this is, I'm Shaquan. And then this is my girl, Sydney over here. Say, hey, Sydney.
Hey.
Today we're going to be talking about trading communities. I feel like there are so many trading communities coming out a lot more, and the bigger communities that used to be out here are kind of getting disassembled. And I've been noticing that lately. I know one that has been disassembled. I don't want to call any names because I don't want to get flagged or anything. And I don't want nobody coming after me. But I heard that tens of thousands of traders have left a really, really big trading company. And Sydney, out of that, so many people are going to be dispersing, making their own communities, their own groups, their own courses, and things like that. But one of the biggest problems with that is we're now starting to attract more scammers in the world. Like, if you're in the finance world or any type of business world, scammers are coming out of the woodworks, and they're actually creating smaller communities, fake communities, right? Stealing people's content, stealing people's pictures and profiles. I know I've been a victim of that. Where I have a lot of people stealing my content, stealing my face, my information, and I have people coming to me saying, "But this isn't the real you," and you're right. So we wanted to come on here to talk about how we can kind of help people find the community that is right for them when it comes to a trading community, right? So let's talk. So I've not really been a part of big communities. I've only been a part of two smaller communities. I know you were a part of a big community. So share about, like, why did you feel coming out of the gate a community was good for you to begin with?
Honestly, that's just how it was introduced to me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know any other way. And, looking back, I am grateful because it exposed me to a lot. So, what initially attracted me was, I have a video on my Instagram explaining, why I decided to trade was because I was surrounded by other young Black entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And I loved that. I loved, the calls, like being able to hear people speak and how Forex changed their lives. So that's what I guess you could say attracted me to it. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know any other way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you were a part of the community, was it okay? How was the community? Was it a teaching community? Was it a community to just share charts? Like, what did the how did the community want you to engage? Let's go there.
There was no structure.
Okay.
It was like some days, some like you would get a markup call. Some days it was like I don't know. It was just there was no structure really, and the community was just a whole bunch of everybody just posting and
Mm-hmm.
saying they're hopping in and out of this, and then
Mm-hmm.
somebody saying, "Oh, it was just a lot. It was very chaotic looking
Mm-hmm.
back."
I got it. Prayer Kid, he's on YouTube. He say may have to join your community. It's God Kids, by the way. Hey, God Kids. So I know him over from Instagram. He's also a supply and demand trader, and he's a great trader. What's up, man? I haven't seen you in such a long time, man. How are you doing? We gotta link up soon. I when I first joined a community, well, first when I first got started trading, it was just me, my mentor, and my friend. That was it. But it wasn't really like a community. We just get together and talk about charts and look at stuff, right? But then I joined this small community on Telegram. Sydney, I had never heard of Telegram. I didn't know what a Telegram was, but a friend said download it, get in this group. Now at the time, this group was all about 10 pips in dip. Never heard of that as well. Um,
Uh,
the problem was we all had like that compound sheet that you get off the internet or whatever. You're trying to compound every single day. So it was basically a group of scappers, right? Now, what I was a scapper back then, I identified as a scapper and day trader. And I'll be honest, I still didn't even understand what that meant too. I mean, I'm just scapping the market, not understanding at that time I was meant to be a swing trader, right? So what we were doing there is we would come together every day. Every day we were talking. All day we were talking. And we were talking about charts. But the biggest thing that I realized was it felt like a competition. Like
Yeah.
It was loving at the same time, but I know this, I know this. Do you know this? Do you know that? Well, okay, you know, but there wasn't an
Yeah.
instructor, there wasn't anyone teaching. We just all had our different opinions and we were bringing them in together, but it was kind of like the blind leading the blind. And I think for a lot of people, when they first get into trading, that's what ends up happening. The blind leads the blind. Most new traders have no idea what they're talking about. They're watching videos, they're seeing what other people are thinking, they're seeing what other people are talking about. This person is trying that, this person is trying this, and they're pulling from all of these people in all of these places, right? And most of them are free communities that you find on Facebook, that you find on Instagram. It's just a bunch of mess. Just so you know, Dom says those are the worst groups, and I'm gonna agree. I feel like they are, right? I think when you come into a community says these are our guidelines. This is what we trade. This is how we trade. This is what we expect of you, right? I don't know if I ever shared this story with you, Sydney. There was a gentleman who approached me. This was over 2 years ago on Instagram. And he said, "Hey, I would love for you to come into my community and help me in my community." It was a free telegram. I said, "You know what? I'm not doing much these days. Fine." When I got in there, it was just a bunch of people sharing their charts once again, but everyone did something different. Here's the worst part of a community that I honestly don't agree with. When you tell someone to buy and sell off of your analysis with no backup to why, they just show pictures of charts. I'm buying here, I'm selling here. Here's my take profit. You should do it too. So,
Yeah.
was it like that when you got in your community?
Yeah. So again, like I'm not gonna say any names either,
Yeah.
but I would watch a certain, educator,
Mm-hmm.
and now that I'm thinking back, he didn't provide his G. It was just like he was showing us his watch list, and it was
Mm.
like, okay, if and I felt like I had to get in those trades
Mm-hmm.
because if he's telling me to do it, like these trades are about to hit, like I need to be paying attention. Like this is what trading is.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Was it that?
it's not.
Was it
I don't
that?
need anybody else's opinion on anything in order to trade, and that's my favorite part about it.
Right. And see, we talked about Richard Dennis last night, right? When we were talking about before he taught someone, he needed to make sure that they were qualified for him to teach. And one of the questions that Richard Dennis had was um, if you're selling and I'm buying, even though I'm your teacher, who do you listen to, yourself or me? And if the trader said him, he would not teach them because he believed to be independent trader, you need to be an independent thinker. Just because I'm the teacher, it does not disqualify your eyes, right? I strongly feel like that as well. And I know in our community, I lead with that. My job is to help motivate you. But the problem is in these certain groups and free groups, when everyone has an opinion and everyone is trading everywhere, no one gets anywhere. It's like a highway going to and fro, and everything and everybody loops around, right? So I honestly don't. I think when we go into communities, we need to understand how the community wants us to engage. You see where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
Is it to provide analysis? Is it to provide written analysis, video analysis? Is it to help other people? Or is it for us to be taught in that community? Are you providing the service? What service are you providing? Right? And that goes into what you can share and what you can't share. So I'm gonna like continue that story from that group and then talk about a Facebook group as well. So as I got further along in the Telegram, scrolling through, I would ask a lot of questions. You know, I love asking questions. One person said, "Man, you ask a lot of questions." But I was asking questions because if you're just posting a chart, what do you know? You're
Yeah.
assuming free groups are full of assumptions. You're assuming I know how you trade. You're assuming
Yeah.
I know why you're taking that trade. You're assuming I know why you use what you use and how you use it. You're assuming that we are the same. We are equals. You see where I'm going? And so I went to the guy who asked me to help. I said, "Hey, can I be the authority in your group? I'm not going to step on anyone's toes without your permission." Because when that person
Mm-hmm.
asked me that, I saw that he was offended that I was asking him questions because he was the main one throwing out what you would call signals. And there are a lot of people
Yeah.
who had questions about it, but he wouldn't answer them. You see where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
So when I started to take over and say, hey, when you guys are posting your charts, make sure you write this, do this, like just give us your eyes. Give us basically I was asking for the eyes. Give us your behind the scenes. He didn't want to do that. You see where I'm going? Eventually I ended up backing out of the group. Because for one,
And
no, go ahead, sweet. I'm sorry.
I have something like a similar story with that. So in the group, you do have those like main people whose group it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I had actually messaged the guy and I was like, I've lost, over 300. It was something like $300, and back
Mm-hmm.
like that was a lot. Like, that was a big deal. So I'm telling him,
Mm-hmm.
I lost this amount of money. I don't really know what I'm doing wrong. Like, can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't thought about this until now, but he was like, $300 is not that much. We have people in the group that's lost 3,000.
Okay.
Like, what? And now that I'm like thinking back about that, I'm like, he just disregarded not
Mm-hmm.
only me asking for help, but also disregarded that I'm losing money that I don't really even have.
Mm-hmm. That part. That's the part there. When and it's for anyone here, or if y'all are talking to other people about forex, warn them about that part in the community. When someone just throws a trade out there and you lose, no one gives you your money back. No one.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
I think the biggest part, once again, in the community, are you here to help me? That's the question. When I join that community,
Mm-hmm.
you see where I'm going? Because if you're not there to help me, I don't need to be a part of your community. And now I think that goes into asking what type of support are we seeking from the community? Here's my plight on this. A community can't fail you if you know what you're walking into. They can't. Okay. Before we got on here, I was talking about like housing community. And I will run a consent to before we move forward. She said, I think you I know what community you were talking about. She said she paid $175 a month for a year. And she said, I learned more from your YouTube channel than that community. I felt that community only push recruiting. First, thank you. That's not the community. I've never been a part of a paid community, maybe the one that Sydney is talking about. Because every community I try to help, I try to go in for free. I want to help them for free. Um, I'll explain why later. Sydney, if you don't mind, if you can remind me of why I do that later. Um, but yeah, I always try to help people for free. But one of the things about a housing community, we have them all over America now, right? Where in the housing community, especially if they have HOA, what happens with an HOA? You pay to be a part of that community. And the reason why you pay to be a part of the community, they're going to take care of the bushes, the trash. If there's a pool, they're going to clean it up. You're basically paying for them to pay for the small things that you would never think to think about. You see what I'm saying? And in that community, they have rules when it comes to HOA. Your fence can only be a certain height. There's only certain things you can put in your front yard and backyard. You have to keep your yards clean. And if you don't follow the housing instructions, eventually they will buy you out. They're gonna kick you out of that community, right? Why don't we think about communities that same way, Sydney?
Yeah. I don't know.
I think it's mindset. Do you know how many people have never been a part of a community they have to pay for? They don't.
Yeah.
Once again, I think now this is about to lead to psychology, the acceptance of being a part of something. A lot of us come from broken homes. We come from having trust issues with people. We come from the psychological background of someone wants to take something from us, right? We also sometimes get into communities hoping and wishing for acceptance. Like I need to be accepted, right? I want to feel like I'm a part of something. Think about gangs. Why do most black kids join gangs? This is more infamous back in the day. But why did they join gangs when they were growing up? Mom and dad were working, or mom and dad were gone, or someone was on drugs. No one paid attention and watched them. School systems were failing them, and so they got a part of something that they felt like, hey, this is a family here. Even though I got to do illegal things to be a part of it, I'm still a part of something. You see
Yeah.
where I'm going?
Unity.
Community, right? Now that we are more advanced in technology, now that we are more advanced in what we're doing here, we're making our own ways, we're paving our own ways. We kind of want and need it, but community is a two-way street, I feel. I know, let's talk about our community right now. Our community is small. But I have the intentions as the coach to say, hey, I want you to take every trade with a purpose, right? I'm here to help you. I'm here to know your name. I'm here to know your desires. I'm here to know your needs. I'm here to know your goals. I talk to y'all, right? Y'all
Mhm.
talk to me. And I try to make it to where if I know you're not going to talk amongst the group, you can still have access to me behind the scenes one on one,
Yeah.
right? I think in some communities, they're so tied to Telegram, they're so tied to WhatsApp, they're so tied to, hey, let's meet for an hour or two as a group, but I'm just going to show you my perspective of things, and you have no voice.
Yeah.
A lot of people are paying in these communities to not have voices.
Mhm.
When I meet with a lot of traders, Sydney, they say, I was afraid to raise my hand and ask for help. I was afraid to ask a
Yeah.
question. You see, I didn't want to feel like I was the dumb one. I didn't want to feel like I was holding
Yeah.
people back. And I'm like, you're the perfect person to ask questions. You're perfect,
Yeah.
you know? And the reason why I think that those people are perfect is because you're going to ask a question from a new person's perspective. You have fresh eyes. Or you're going to ask a question from a struggling standpoint that most people who think they know how to trade, they have the same questions and would never ask for help, or are
Yeah.
afraid to because they put this whole facade out like, I know what I'm talking about, but they struggle on the inside. You see where I'm
Mhm.
going? So what do you think? Like, what could you add to that from what you've seen in communities and even being a part of our community?
So, first of all, I love our community. Um, I think too. So, if you guys don't know, in our community, on the last Wednesday of every month, I actually host a trading psychology,
Yes.
call, Mindset Matters. And why that was so important to me was because the community that I came from had no such thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was straight charts all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and it was either like charts or motivation for you to recruit.
Yeah.
Like there was no in between. There was no like, how are you? Like, what are you going through? Like, what are your individual goals? It's like, no, you should be making money on these charts, and you should be
Mm-hmm.
bringing more people in.
Mm-hmm.
Like that seems like that was everybody's life, and that's not true. And if I'm not in the right mindset, I'm not going to make money on the charts, and I'm not going to be able to recruit. So there's
Mm-hmm.
no in between with that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why it was important for me to introduce, trading psychology, and I'm so grateful that you let me step into that role because I think it's been a big game changer for us, even
Yes.
just for myself personally, because uh, I practice what I preach, right? And
Yeah.
I love that I'm able to preach it because it helps me hold myself accountable for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and just even in our community, like it's the vibe. Like it's like
Yes.
nobody's afraid to ask questions,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's behind
Yep.
the scenes or whether it's on a call with everybody. Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody feels like they're entitled to ask and to say what they have to say.
Yes. And I love that too because I think what we have in our community, just so you know, said that used to be him. I reckon it was when we're talking about how people are afraid to ask questions or things like that, right? So in our community, we do what's called intimate teaching. Like we're very intimate with one another. It's almost like you can reach out and touch one another, even though we're virtual, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but because we know the intricate parts of we do focus a lot on psychology in our group. We do focus on the human side more than the monetary side in trading because we know that's what we're trading for. The money is going to come, but before that, people have to get out of their struggles. You see
Mm-hmm.
where I'm going? So what we do in our group, and I've been thinking about that, we're more like researchers. I think from the last mindset matters we had, when you introduced the fundamental side, and even I know you and I talked about the fundamental side a lot. I think that helped prepare people's minds to research for themselves even more. I'm technical, you're learning to get that mix of fundamentals in, and I think that helped people on what was it yesterday when inflation data came out. And even though, 'cause I know I had put the report that there was a report coming out with inflation data, right? But even though for people like say who were holding the yens, price went against them if they were in buys, it kind of felt like they were okay with that, right? Because
Yeah.
it was kind of like we prepared them for that, right? And I
Yeah.
I love that going in. So yesterday, even when we talked about the trading mistakes, what could be some mistakes? And that's the thing with community. You got to be vulnerable, transparent. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable. I think sometimes on YouTube and then what you see um on these Instagram things, it's nothing wrong with having a nice car. I have a nice vehicle. It's nothing wrong with having a nice house. I'm not into buying a house at the moment that's too granular, right? I'm simple, right? It's nothing wrong with going on vacations, but everybody ain't gonna be on a vacation every week trading forex. You see what I mean? Most
Yeah.
people are still working their 9 to 5s. Sometimes I feel like people sell the dream in these communities to get you to join. Let me sell you this dream so you can feel like you're me.
Yeah.
But what happens if that person ain't there yet, though? You gotta take them out the
Yeah.
struggle first. But we don't know how long it's going to be. In a community, there gotta be a sense of transparency there, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when the person who's trading really does lose? You asked for help in that last community that you were in. No one helped you. In
Mm-hmm.
communities, you gotta feel like you can be saved.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I reach
Or
my, mm-hmm,
at least help keep afloat, like
yeah,
something, some type of.
give
You
me a
don't have to
flotation
save me because
device.
at the end of the day, I feel like we can only save ourselves. Like we can only put in the work else. But a
Mm-hmm.
community, we put our arms around each other and we're all in this together.
Right, right. Like, point in case, like we all look at some of the same currency pairs, right? If we put
Yeah.
a play at the beginning of the week and someone doesn't take it, you know how I feel about it. I'm about to find out why you didn't take that play. Like,
Yeah.
what happened? Especially if it was a winning play.
Mhm.
Why did you not trade
Mhm.
it? Even if it was a losing trade that we took, but we entered it before we knew we were going to lose. Okay, well, how did you feel about it? Like, I
Yeah.
think a community asks you questions like, "Are you happy? Not are you happy here, but are you learning here? Are you
Right.
progressing here? Are you okay? Do you feel safe? What's the danger signs here?" Right? Um.
Also, like,
Mhm.
what do you need?
Yes. Yes. Um. I feel like sometimes, and I said this earlier, in trading communities, it's a bunch of competition. Who can do it better? Or who has that? People love to brag on that one play that they have, right? there was
Mm-hmm.
there was a Facebook community that I was in. I had asked if I can come out and help. So this is going back to why I'd like to teach for free. I like to teach for free because I feel like when I'm going into a group, I already come from the understanding that everyone does everything differently. No one does the same thing. So I can't just come in, introduce myself in my technique because 99% of those people won't trade it anyway. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like I got to prove myself that I'm here to teach you, but you don't know me. So let me lend an ear to
Right.
you. Let me see what help you need first before I do anything else. Right? Even before I give analysis, I'm not going to give analysis because that's the thing. People think communities are just analysis based, and it's not. Analysis comes after you're taught, right? So,
And I wanted to add something to
oh
that.
yeah, go ahead, baby.
It's interesting, because I've been under your wing, like really
Mhm,
understanding what it is to be a coach.
mhm,
And it seems like when you flip the script and you put the spotlight on the person who wants to learn,
mhm,
they feel like they have to prove that they know all of these different things and
mhm,
that, oh well, if this happens with this and if that, it's like, no, like it's just kind of like regurgitated information. Like they
mhm.
don't want to sound wrong, they don't want to be wrong, but there's no wrong if it's authentic, if it's you. If you don't know, it's okay. If you do know, great. But I feel like some people, like they feel like they have to prove themselves worthy.
Yes, yes. One of the things that I do when I teach people before I add them to our community is I tell them there's nothing you can do to impress me. I'm not here for
Mm-hmm.
you to impress me. I don't care what
Mm-hmm.
you think you know. I don't care about all the strategies you have. I don't care about all the knowledge that you've come across, right? What I care is how you understand it and how you speak the language, right? So even when I went to that free community to help, this is what I didn't like about the community. One, well, let me talk about what I loved about it first. I don't want to do that. What I loved was he had a lot of people in the group to kind of help with the spammers and the scammers. Get them out of there. Get them out of there. Get them out of there. So that was one thing that when you joined the community and if you were an administrator, you had to help get the scammers out of there. and get people who were promoting, delete and block them as quick as possible. So he had people on that. And I thought that was just such a beautiful thing, right? But what should have been monitored more was the hate speech and the harassment. I have seen so many people ask simple questions in these free trading groups, sometimes even paid trading groups. And then you have people coming, you should know this by now. I can't believe you don't know this. And why are you doing this? This is stupid how you're doing this and you're dumb. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's not what a community is. This is harassment now. Now you're making a person
Yeah.
who's here to change their life. If they're asking a simple question, just answer the question as polite as possible.
Yeah.
I don't understand why some of us as adults feel like we need to attack and troll people to feel better about ourselves. I don't get that
Yeah.
part. What I found that was going on was, once again, this is people who think they know something. Instead of adding value, they add criticism to the community.
I think
Mm-hmm,
we're talking about family. I think it goes back to the family,
mm-hmm,
unfortunately. Like if you're used to you asking a question, even if you have the most like sincere intent and you getting like scrutinized and cut down and saying,
mm-hmm.
well, you should be doing this, you should know. I feel like that's a kind of an automatic response that you give other people. It's
Right,
learned.
right. It is. Do you know who Essence Atkins is?
No.
She's an actor. She played on Smart Guy. Remember Smart Guy when we were growing up? Okay, yeah. So she played on that. In, in an interview that she had, she said that and I'm paraphrasing, so forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. She ever saw this, I pray she pointed me. But she said that she was listening to her friends speak to her boys and she was yelling at them, and she went over to her. She saw that the mother was frustrated, and she said, the way you talk to them is how you speak to yourself. And just like what you said, with the way we speak to ourselves is how someone spoke to us, right? If you're negative and you criticize someone who's trying, it makes me think that some point in your life you were trying something and someone criticized you instead of giving you constructive feedback. One of the things I like to do with you guys and my clients in our one-on-one sessions is I never make you feel like you're wrong, because for the most part you're not. You're learning, you're growing, right? My job would say, okay, you did this, but how can we do it better? How can I get you to understand that what you're doing could be simplified? You can do this a lot easier. That's the goal of the community, right? What I found was, if someone, let's say, just put a chart out on Euro USD, instead of the person giving constructive criticism, what they would do is say, you should use this because I'm using this. You should do this because I'm doing that. But it goes back to what I said in the beginning. You're assuming that we do the same things. You're assuming that I know what you know. You're assuming I use it the same exact way. Trading is, the communities are filled with unique people. So now this goes into how can people with trading communities make it better. Even me, I'm always changing something or asking for feedback in our community if something can be done better to make us as one. How close to one can we get, right? I think if more trading communities had a niche, it would be better if they had
Yeah.
an overall focus, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now this goes back to the trader, the individual trader. Because remember, community can't fail you if you know what you're getting from the beginning. I think we need to take responsibility for where we go. Our community. Like when I buy our house, I'm picking the community I want to be in because it has to make me feel safe first.
Yeah.
I have to know the amenities. I have to know why I'm about to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to be in that home. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
I think number one, traders need to know their trading styles. That's big. I've spoken about it before. I know you're about to do a teaching on it. As a matter of fact, you're having us do a trading personality test, which I love. But I honestly think traders need to know their personality styles. If you are a day trader, why are you in a swing trader's room? Not
Yeah.
unless you're trying to learn how to swing trade, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a swing trader, why are you in a scalper's room? You're looking for 50 to hundreds of pips in a trade. Why are you looking at people who are only catching between 5 to 10 to 20 at most pips, and they're trading consistently every day? You see where I'm going? If you're a support and resistance trader, why and you don't use indicators, why are you in a room with people who use indicators? You
Yeah.
know, I think in business, if business is niche down, we need to niche down too. What do you think? If as a starting point for us as traders.
Um, I want to start by saying be who you are and find a way to be that in the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can come to this market in any way. If you want to scout, if you want to only be on your charts for an hour, you can do that.
Yep.
If you only want to be on your charts for like, you have to figure out what works for you and
Mm-hmm.
then work it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that some people, it's like, oh well, um, well, he's doing this and it works for him. Well, they're doing that and it works for him. Do you have the time to be doing what they're doing?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know how what they're doing is affecting them. They might not even like it for real.
Mm-hmm. That is
To be
true.
honest. But I say that to say, like, even if you are working a 9 to 5, even if you are a stay-at-home parent, even
Mm-hmm.
if you only have so much time, like you were saying, niche down, figure out what that is, and come to the market with those intentions,
That part.
and work it.
Right. Because the community is supposed to be there to support that, right? You want
Mm-hmm.
people who understand you. And I think that's the thing. A lot of times we try to get the support we need from our families. Mom, I want you to know I'm a trader. Your mom don't know what that means. Dad, I want you to support my dream of a trader. Your dad think you going to jail because you gambling, and most people with these scammers think you scamming, right? Especially if you don't understand how to articulate what it is that you do. And I know we talk about that a lot. If you do not know how to articulate what a forex trader is and maybe how long it'll take for you to make money and things like that and understand the growth process, your family won't support your dream until you really make it. And a lot of times that's how we feel as well. We want people who we're close to once again to support us. Some people have been fighting for support for their family for so long and they think this will be the quick game changer. And when it's not, your family's gonna look down on you. And like, oh, well, I thought you were supposed to be this big time trader or whatever you said you was. I thought you were supposed to be making all this money. And that can be discouraging to your trading career. So it's good to be in a room with people who understand where you're trying to grow to. That's the part there, right? Also, this in the community, be in a room with people who are smarter than you, though. I gotta say that.
Mm-hmm.
The blind can't lead the blind. If I'm in a room with all new traders, that does nothing for me. That doesn't challenge me to grow. You see where I'm going? I need to feel like I can reach a goal higher than myself. That's what I need to feel like, right? So
Actually,
that's the, mm-hmm.
I wanted to piggyback on our family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important, especially when you first start trading, to not go ahead and tell the world, like, "Hey, everybody, guess what I'm doing over here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this my life's about to be amazing." Blah blah blah. Because first of all, you need to figure out if it even works for you,
Right.
if you even like it,
Right.
how it works, what the vision's like you were saying. Because I think that sometimes when we share our goals,
Mm-hmm.
people think we're looking for advice, and it was like, no, I just wanted to let you know. But why did you even do that in the first place? What was your intention?
Yes.
Because I had to learn, like, I don't have to share my goals with everybody. There's a lot of things that I manifest in silence, and I pat myself on the back and give myself a high five, like, we did that. But I don't need to bring that anywhere out of myself, because I know I can do it. And because they are your family, usually they want the best for you. So they're going to tell you what the red flags could be. And, well, I haven't seen that done before, so I don't know if you could do it energy.
Right.
And you don't really need that if that's something that you want. And you don't even know if you are going to trade for the rest of your life. I don't know if I'm going to trade for the rest of my life. Once I have passive income in my purse, like, I don't know if I'm gonna want to be on these charts like that. So figure it out for yourself before you bring it anywhere else.
Right. I think we blast the information too quick. We before we understand what it is, we share it too quick. Right. It's like going to a 9 to 5. You get happy and blessed that you got this job. Oh, it's from God. You tell everybody 2 weeks in, you're like, I don't like this job. You start regretting filling out that application. I don't know if this for me. Y'all ain't tell me I had to do all this now. This go against my religion. You know what I mean? So So
Yeah.
sometimes that works. But can we talk about the downside right quick? Because we put it on the traders part, but now let's put it on the so-called coaches part. I didn't call myself a coach till people called me a coach, right? I didn't have a name, which is why I went in for free teaching people. And I still teach for free on YouTube and stuff like that. I like to give out as much free information that can get the person going first, right? Before you ever think about paying me to work with me. I think that's really important. Let me show you that I'll always show up for you first, right? Sometimes people walk into these communities and give money before they even know these companies. You're because of what you've seen on YouTube or things like that, where they were making money and all of these things, you immediately thought that you would show up and get the same results as them until you realized you had to put in the work. But the problem is you don't know how long you got to put the work in for. You don't know how long you'll grasp the concept. Now this goes into trading, learning styles. I'm a person who teaches one-on-one. I don't like creating video courses anymore. I used to do it in the beginning until I realized I'll teach you quicker if you just talk to me. You see where I'm going?
Man.
You see that? If you just speak to me,
Mhm.
I'll talk to you. I'm gonna tell you what it is that you
Mhm.
need to know. But if a lot of people ask me, do I have a course? Do you sell courses? No, I don't. No, I don't. Years ago I did, but not anymore. I don't sell a course. What I do is give you access to me to be in a room with me to learn in real time. You see where I'm going? That's number one. If that is you, your community needs to mimic that. If you are a person who knows our schedules may be off to where I cannot be in the live sessions with y'all, then maybe you need to go to a person who sells courses. Maybe you need to be in a
Yeah.
community where all they do is pre-recorded video content or recorded analysis. Maybe that is what you need so you can watch it on your own time. Or maybe you need to find someone, like my specialty is one-on-ones. Find someone who can commit to getting on your time and your schedule because they have a calendar. Maybe that's
Yeah.
what you really need. Like I know what we do now is, even though we have this group and now myself teach it privately people one-on-one, hey, if you need to book a one-on-one meet, let's find a time to do it. You know,
Yeah.
and let's be strategic about what we talk about in that session, right?
Yeah.
I'm a person who could teach a person how to trade in 3 hours. You've been there with me. You've seen it. You've done it, right?
Mhm.
But the commitment to get to the goals that you want takes time. So a lot of people think when they join these communities too, oh, I'm just going to learn and just, be great in 3 to 4 months. But who said that? Who told you
Right.
that? You know,
Who lied to you?
who lied to you? Now, I'm not saying it cannot be done. I've had people come out the gate and do amazing in a quick amount of time because that's how their mind
Mhm.
processes. You see what I mean?
Right.
But that's not everybody. And sometimes people
And
sell
that's
the
not the
dream.
standard.
There you go. It's not the
But
standard.
two things I quickly want to
Mm-hmm.
add. One thing that I really liked about, because yeah, I was a student with Shaquan. Like we did our one-on-ones for 6 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
in our and what I liked most was you waited until I finished my one-on-ones with you to put me in the group.
Yep.
It wasn't that you just, when I signed up with you, automatically threw me in the group, because
Mm-hmm.
that would have been like really overwhelming. And that's why people tend to feel like they don't have a voice. Like, I don't know everything yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Second, you can't grow when you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, you have to get uncomfortable in order to grow. And I
Yeah.
think people are uncomfortable with having that spotlight on them, on you asking, well, what do you think about this?
Mm-hmm.
How do you see this? What do you want to do from here?
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to be great, you have to get used to that spotlight being on you and being able to be authentic in who you are and how you see things, because,
Mm-hmm.
like we're talking about, that's how you're going to grow. And it's
Mm-hmm.
okay for you to not know everything,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the market, but
Yes.
especially in life too. You don't have to know everything to be great. You don't have to know everything to be happy. You don't have to know everything to grow.
Right. Let me add on top of what you just said too, because that was beautiful. The part where you said it would have overwhelmed you. I don't like overwhelming anybody
Mm-hmm.
because I have a form of anxiety. I know what it feels like to be overwhelmed with people. If I overwhelm you, it's because I'm overwhelmed. You see where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the second part about not putting you in the community first, you're absolutely right. Why would I put you with people who've already been taught? It's your turn to be
Mm-hmm.
taught. You see where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is now your turn. It is now your time. You need me. You need this intimate setting. I need you to be comfortable. The way I taught so and so, I can't teach you the same because your language and mindset are different. Your goals are different. Your struggle is different. This person may struggle with everything where you only struggle with two things. You see where I'm going? But the person in the community needs to know that. Now this goes to the coaching side, the person who's actually in charge of the community. What are you? Are you the coach? Are you the signal provider? Like, how are you serving your community? And do they know what you do? Do they know how you do it? Do you know where they come from? Do you know what hurt them? Do you know why they left the last one? Like, why did they leave? Right? And then why did they seek you out? A lot of people say, Shaquan, we wanted to learn from you because you made us understand. You simplified what we needed to know. Great. Let me continue to do that. But I have to look at why people even would leave my community. We're small. It's that way because I choose who I teach. I don't teach everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very strategic with this. So I feel like this. People may not be committed when they come into your community. Even if it's not a lot that you guys do, they may not be able to fully commit. Then some people get family issues and some people get busy in real life. And even what you said, some people realize this trading thing really isn't for me, right? And it could be right information at the wrong time. You're the right person, but my life was too busy. I didn't think it would get busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think I've had too many complaints. I think probably one or two complaints in my last 4 years of teaching. You see what I mean? And that's pretty much it, which is pretty much good, even still only teaching smaller select people. I'm not going to share what they share with me about why they leave other places though, because I try to keep that confidential. But the thing about it is, I think from a coaching perspective, I think we need to address this part. What is the problem that a trader is having, and can we solve it? And can I create people in the same community that I have to help solve the problem? One thing I love about you, Sydney, is you took the road to step up to say, I'll help. You taught me, let me pass it forward. You know, let me get with people, in back testing sessions. Let me do mindset matters where I do the research and I bring the fundamentals, or I bring the psychology back to the group, because Shaquan, you can't do everything. You see where I'm going? That's community as well, right? Passing that torch forward. You see where I'm going? In a place of where there's absence. And I get that part. And I love that about you. I really do. I don't want to go over an hour, but I will say, like, I think the tips that we can give people when it comes to finding a community is, number one, I think you should start with yourself and find your trading style. Like, know who you are. And you hit on that really well, that point. You guys should know what it is that you want to do in the time that you can commit, as Sydney said. You don't have to look like everybody else, but it's important to be in the room with the people who can support what you're trying to do. Let's talk about profits too. I don't share profits a lot. I honestly don't. I don't.
Thank you for buckets.
Why you say that, Sydney?
Because I actually meant to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
That was something else that was a red flag for me in the community I was in before. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
felt like they had to show their profits, even
Mm-hmm.
on social media. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I talked to somebody and he said, you have to make forex look sexy. You have to
Mm-hmm.
like show people that you're actually making money. I wasn't making any money, but I was talking about, oh, thank you for the markets for this, like
Yep.
trying to. What are you doing? That's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm talking about. You're not being authentic. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think profits are authentic, because if you're going to post your profits, then you need to post your losses too. And
Exactly.
nobody's doing that.
No, and I think that's the part with us. One thing I like that you did, and I'm glad this goes this way in the group. We post goals, right? You didn't start to post your success until you got it. That was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you posted the journey to get there. You see where I'm
Mm-hmm.
going? And that's what I care about. Post the process. Post the process. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Profits can be misleading. I would In the beginning, when I was building my community, people didn't want to work with me until I proved to them I was making money. Once I made it, I would send them a Snapchat and say, I made it, now what? Because you can't touch the money I just made. What did that do for
Yeah.
you? They say, oh, well, it proved to me, but these were only 2 to 3 trades. Now, what would have happened if I lost those 2 or 3 trades? Would you say I'm a bad trader? Or would you understand this is the journey of a trader's lifestyle? Because obviously you've been losing all this time up to this point. You know I can help, but you're too focused on the money side of things, right? There are people who can have one big winner and then lose it all. Now what? If you don't have a coach who can guide you on how to reverse that, what's the point of showing the profit? It can be misleading, right? I think instead of me teaching people how to profit, I like to show people how to process it, how to process what they're doing and articulate what they're doing. I love knowledge. I'm a knowledge-based coach. We have a knowledge-based community. You see where I'm going? Because some people struggle longer than other people. Why? We got to figure out those red flags. You see where I'm going? Got to figure it out.
And one more point, I feel like when you come to the market with the intention of money, or like when you only see dollar signs, you're gonna lose. Like you need to come to the market to trade the market, and the money is a byproduct of that.
It's the
Because
result.
if you only, oh, I can make $1,000 on this trade, I can make $2,000. So what? What happens if you lose? What happens tomorrow? Like we need to, especially with the strategy that we trade the strategy. We don't trade how much we could win.
No. Strategy is first. Strategy will always be first for me, right? Lately I showed y'all what was the thing I showed you guys about the percentages, about how small numbers can be misleading. You gotta look at the long-term growth, right? Think about these prop firm challenges too. You think a prop firm care that you made $1,000 or $2,000? They don't. They care that you hit that 10% in the 30 days and that 5% in the 60 days. They care about that. They care about the longevity and the long-term value. Because even if you don't reach that 10%, you don't get the prop firm account. So you see where I'm going? So what would it matter that was a winning trade? As I was taught, you're never as good as your next trade. You're never as good because you don't know the outcome. You can't control the outcome. Also, things can be manipulated. Where a person was supposed to make 5,000, they only made 1,000, and they're happy with 1,000. No, I want you to be happy with the 5,000. You see where I'm going? Because if you have a 4,000 difference, something tells me you moved your stop loss too soon, or you were afraid of your own trade and you got out early because you were afraid to lose money. That's the problem. The coach needs to know that. Now it goes back to community being relationship based, right? I show you how to trade, you show me that you can trade it. You see where I'm going? Then you have people here who can support it because they might be going through the same thing you're going through. But I also want to applaud you when you do well. Let me be happy for you. You see where I'm going? I think also we need to start to set healthy boundaries as well too. Trading is still a business. I gotta set a boundary between community and my family. You see where I'm going? But also between trading and my personal development, my personal time. You know what I'm saying? Community can't take over. It can't. I don't know what your schedule was when you were in your community, but I felt like I was with those people more than my own family. Yeah. It was too much. And also,
you can only grow so much in these charts.
Yes.
Like you're a whole person. You give part of yourself to these charts, but you still have to come back a whole person. You still have to maintain. And I think that when people, they keep their, like people say, like, keep your head in the books. No, come out of the books, process, think about it, ponder on something else, and then come back. Like we don't have all day. We're not computers,
right?
So don't be a computer,
right?
Go feel some stuff. Yes. Go think about some stuff.
Yes, and that's that boundary. That's that boundary, right? In the community, as we talked about, we're not always on our charts, you guys. Sometimes I like to take breaks and we'll talk. Sydney, when she does her mindset matters, we talk. Because for one, we're swing traders. Why are we looking for a trade every day? I don't understand that part. We're not doing that part. But two, we have off days, Fridays and Saturdays, because if we already come into the market on Sundays to analyze, that's a part of a working hour. That's work time. And so we have to get more into personal development, which that should also be a topic here that we talk about is personal development as well, what that is and what that looks like. That'd be dope, right? So yeah, I pray that if y'all don't have a trading community, you find one, and if you're looking for one, let us know. Pretty soon, maybe I don't know how Sydney wants to do it yet, but we may open a trading community. I think though, Cindy, the easiest way to do it would be to open one right on TradingView. If I'm being honest
Yeah.
with you, I think that'd be the
Yeah.
fastest way to do it. It's just open so we can all talk on TradingView versus going on Facebook until I don't like being on my phone like that. I'm not doing it. Boundaries. Boundaries. All right. So if y'all got questions, let us know, y'all. Veronica asked this. She said, kind of off subject, ladies. And thank you for saying that. I appreciate you, Queen. She said in your video this morning, you stated that New Zealand correlates with a pair. What pair does New Zealand dollar? I'm reckoning she means New Zealand dollar correlate with. Okay, so we can talk about trading real quick for like 5 minutes, right? Sydney, you good? Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure I want to respect your time. Okay. So I was in a New Zealand dollar trade with New Zealand dollar USD, and that pair correlates with pound USD. I'm sorry, pound New Zealand, euro New Zealand, and AUD New Zealand. One thing that I'm a firm believer in is if okay,
And AUD USD.
and yes. So let's talk about positive correlations really quick first. A positive correlation is when you get currency pairs that move in the same direction, like AUD USD and New Zealand dollar USD, right? Because if you look at the dollar, they're all behind the first currency, right? So that's why they move the same. I'm not saying 100% of the time, which means don't expect to be an AUD USD and in the same day you're in New Zealand dollar. It may not always work like that. There's a time and space because of the fundamentals. Now, you have pairs that run opposite. Now, just taught one of my clients this in our one-on-one session. I believe where there's a slow pair, there's a fast pair that you have to trade opposite of one another. This is called hedging. Okay, this is a form of hedging. So Euro New Zealand was a pair that I wanted to trade originally opposite of New Zealand dollar. So where I was in my original buy on New Zealand dollar, I've been in a sale on Euro New Zealand dollar. Okay. Now I'm not saying this is always gonna happen because I have been buying what? I've been buying AUD New Zealand dollar, Sydney, and was in the original buy with New Zealand dollar, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't always work like that. They're still opposite, right? They're still opposite, but it doesn't always work out like that. So that's what I'm saying, like, to be careful with the correlations. You still have to follow the trend, okay? But I was telling Sydney when I shared the sale with her, I told her I was uncomfortable with the sale. Sydney, I honestly should have got out that sale when I said those words out of my mouth. I should have got out of it. Even though Euro New Zealand dollar was profitable for us, right? Like we were in two positions. We went in at 0.5%. Collectively, it is technically one trade because we put in two orders, so we were only in at 0.5% of our total balance. And so yeah, Euro New Zealand worked out over New Zealand dollar. But I think one thing I will do, Sydney, is I'm going to work on the numbers with the accounts between market conditions when it comes to high volatility, narrow conditions, and broad conditions, because each of those should have different percentages. So I'm going to work on those. Yeah. But yeah, so that was a good question, Veronica. Um, a lot of people honestly don't know about correlations, and if they do, I don't think they look at it right. One of the members. It is because that's what we work on in our group. Is we work on correlations. Um, we always start with the dollar index first, and then we go into Euro USD after. And if there's something on USD Swiss, we try to trade those opposite as well because you don't want to be in a buy on two negative correlating pairs. It's just not, it's dangerous. It's gonna mess up your account. Yeah.
Well, I even want to say this: you don't necessarily want to be in the same position on positive correlations either.
No, you don't.
Because I want to say that was my downfall. Like I was trading AUD USD, and I also trade NZD USD, and so each time I was same setup on both of those pairs, I would take both of them. So
Yeah.
if it hit my stop loss, I'm hitting my stop loss twice.
Yes.
As opposed to now, what I do is whichever one gives me the better risk to reward, that's the one that I take, and I let that one play out. Because sometimes you have to sit back and you have to just observe.
Sydney,
That's it. That's the gem.
I got an idea. You know how we're talking about numbers, right? Yeah, I'm a numbers girl. I'm always talking about numbers. I just got an idea. Per each category of a market with the majors, those are all one market. Technically, if you
Yeah.
think about it. So let's just say we don't want to risk more than 3% in those markets. Then that means that however many trades that we see in that market for that week or that month gets a particular percentage that we can't go over.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Same can happen with the yens, Swiss francs. Like if I see 3 yen pairs setting up, and let's say I don't want to go over 2% in that one market. If it's three, I need to divide the 3 by 2%. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
And then if you're taking
and it goes back to setting boundaries.
There you go. And then if you're getting into two positions on one pair, now you got to divide that now percentage by 2.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna work those numbers out. You see where I'm going? Veronica Kent said good information. Thank you. So we're literally researchers in this, because with us doing prop firm challenges, one of the things that I like teaching is how many trades you need to be successful based on wins and losses, and not to over trade just because you might see a particular setup. You need to weigh the pros and cons and the probability of that setup happening for you. And that's per pair. You know, we talk about that a lot. It's per pair. With us being swing traders, we know that if it's a really good trending market, um, you're not supposed to have more than 1 to 2 positions that week on that one pair. If you got any more than that, you're probably on a lower time frame than we normally look at, obviously. But for us being swing traders, like the 4 hour, we just incorporated the 12-hour daily time frame, weekly and monthly. We need to hold that position for more than 24 hours. And we're going to get hundreds of pips in that setup if it's a really great setup. So it's that part there. But Sydney, you got to go. Okay, I don't want you to go over that time moment, because like I said, I do respect your time. And you guys, listen, I see that you guys have joined my Trading View as well. So thank you guys who are now following me on Trading View as well. I really do appreciate it. We're gonna be back here again. Y'all gonna hear this in my background, but we're gonna be back here again next week if time and God allows us to. We pray that this was satisfactory for y'all. And if y'all have any questions or any topics that y'all want us to hit on, and maybe soon Sydney and I will even come on here and we'll start doing just some analysis and working on, like, maybe looking at y'all charts and seeing through y'all's eyes. And if you have a trading problem, because I want to get Sydney that coaching experience, right? That's something that she and I talk about. And as she gets that coaching experience, I want to coach her to learn how to ask the right questions to bring out the better traders in everyone who she blesses and touches with her knowledge. Okay. So we will talk to you guys later, and you guys be blessed. Y'all have a safe day.